Oh, Stuart Watson, another frustrating one for Ipswich Town this afternoon. 1-0 up, in control of a game that didn't have an awful lot going on in it, and then a moment of madness and a goal has cost them. Another disappointing frustration afternoon, isn't it?
Been here before, haven't we? Not in these seats, which are dubbed the best seats in the house. I think they give these to competition winners or sponsors of some sort. But back to the game. We've been here before. Ipswich in utter control, dominant, in front. Kill it off. And they don't kill it off. And not scoring that second goal has once again come back to bite them on the bum. It's, again, didn't look... Shrewsbury hadn't laid a glove on them. Walton had done virtually nothing. And a daft red card from Cameron Burgess opens the door ajar, and when the lead is only 1-0, things can happen, and it did happen, because Sean Whalley doesn't score many goals, but he seems to save them against Ipswich Town, as stuck a looping shot from outside of the box into the back of the net, and it's 1-1, and it's another 2 points that have been infuriatingly just left out there for Ipswich Town.
Yeah, let's cut straight to the red card, because that's what changed the course of this game. Cameron Burgess was on a booking from the first half. He'd been turned by Bowman and responded, as we've seen before. The response to being turned is to then put some hands out and drag him down to stop him getting away. So he's on a booking, and over there to my left, then he's kind of. You look up and you see Cameron Burgess is in the opposition penalty area charging down the goalkeeper, and he's launched himself in, and whether he's touched the goalkeeper or not doesn't really matter, does it, by this point?
No complaints at all. No. For either booking for me. As you say, the first yellow card we've seen several times before. He's come back into this team, and we've given Cameron Burgess loads of credit for the way he's seamlessly slotted back into that left side of a back three, and we worried about him coming in for Edmondson, but he's been really solid the last few games. But that booking was one. The first one was one we saw plenty of times under Paul Cook. If he gets 40 yards up the pitch and he gets on the turn, he's in trouble, and he's dragged the guy back and nailed on yellow card despite the complaints. And then the second one is just daft. I think he's in nosebleed territory. He gets dragged high into up the pitch in an area that he doesn't really want to be in. But by the time he's kind of put pressure on one player to play the pass back to the goalkeeper, he thinks, well, I've got to go with this again. And then maybe that defensive instinct clicks in, and he just lunges in from far too far away, as you say. The goalkeeper had time to jump out of the way, but it studs up. It's out of control, and it's a needless second yellow card, which Kieran McKenna's reaction on the touchline said it all. I think he was really unhappy with it, and it changed the flow of this game, because Shrewsbury weren't in this at all, and I think that gave them the encouragement to come back at Ipswich.
No, there were quite a lot of things actually that Kieran McKenna looked incredibly frustrated at during that second half. Not just that incident, not just the goal they conceded either. Wanted to see a reaction to last weekend's loss to Cambridge, where we know they didn't hit the levels, and I'd argue they didn't hit those levels again today. I don't think Shrewsbury were parking any buses against them today. I didn't think they were very good either, particularly Shrewsbury, but they did try and play. And it must be frustrating for a manager who's seen his team now just lose once in 12. Still must remember that, to just to not see his team hitting the mark we think they're capable of.
There's so much here that is good, and today is another example of that. The path that they're on, the development that's being made under McKenna, under this team, but just that last little bit of ruthlessness, that little bit of desire to go and really put your foot on the throat of the opposition when you've got them by the scruff of the neck. Finish it off, and they're not really doing that. And the first 10 minutes, they started really aggressively. Chaplin's missed a really good chance at a header right in the middle of the goal, which, it's a good reaction save, but he should score. Then Norwood scores. Donasian was getting to the byline. They were playing with intensity, and they just seemed to let that go away. And in the second half, it was like McKenna said afterwards, it's almost like they felt like, the goal will come to us in a minute, we'll just keep the ball, and eventually a goal will come. But no, you've got to go and really sort of aggressively chase that second goal, and they left the door open, and it's... As a one-off, you can kind of accept that, but this has happened repeatedly now. I mean, Oxford is an example. Morecambe and Cheltenham should have been wins. I mean, the Morecambe game, you couldn't have done a lot more in that. That was just one of those days. But As much as we kept talking about the points dropped under Paul Cook at the start of the season, there's been multiple examples now since Kieran McKenna's taken charge where you're thinking should have been more today, and that's the narratives that got to change going into next season, isn't it?
And that's how we've remarkably managed to get to this point of one of our post-match videos without mentioning the playoffs in any way whatsoever, because I think we've all accepted going into the game it wasn't going to happen. It's now still 8 points with only 12 to play for Town. It's not going to happen, and those are the reasons why, aren't they? Drop points throughout the course of an entire season. I've just spoken to Sam Morsey after the game, who, as always, was very kind of focused in what he said and driven in what he said. And he's talking about we are not where we want to be. We need to work every single day, but both this season, throughout our summers, in the pre-season, when next season begins, for us to get to where we want to go, because it's not going to be easy. And he's right, isn't he? There's plenty to work
in some ways. Last weekend, today might be a bit of a blessing in disguise. It just keeps everybody grounded going into the summer, that as much as we've enjoyed the progress, really enjoying and watching them play, they've not cracked it yet, and this is still League One. This is going to be another year in League One, and just got to add a little bit of streetwise qualities to their game if they're going to become this winning machine that we've not seen them be in League One just yet. But lots to like. I thought, we'll go through some of the performances in individual performances in our written bits of content online. But there was a lot to like, but not quite there yet. Ipswich Town, and now difficult games in Easter against Rotherham and Wigan.